Jonas Vingegaard's media meltdown, or just honesty? Let's begin where things got weird. At the most recent press conference that Jonas did, where the famously glacial Jonas Vingegaard went from android, silence, to almost human. A sudden, unexpected deviation from the usual Team Visma protocol of say nothing, smile politely, and disappear before anyone makes eye contact. In response to a straightforward question, quote, "Do you have a plan to beat Tadej Pogačar?" Jonas said something that left the room blinking like they'd seen a ghost. Not because it was aggressive or disrespectful or even remotely scandalous. No, Jonas simply answered the question, and that surprised them. Quote, "I think I can say for sure I'm stronger than ever. I can say that I'm on the highest level I've ever been, and let's see if it's enough. I obviously have my plan to beat Pogačar, like we always do, but we can't tell the media." Wait, what? A plan? Confirmed? Publicly? Not only did Jonas assert that he has a plan, which already goes against the shrug and mumble ethos of Visma PR machine, but he also confirmed that he's in the best shape of his entire life. For anyone who's been following the coded, grey-on-grey statements that Visma usually releases, quote, "Jonas is progressing according to internal parameters." This is like hearing a glacier announce it's now into performance poetry. And yes, apparently he was getting funny looks from the team staff seated beside him, most notably his press handler, who seemed to be doing the Tour de France equivalent of making slashing gestures behind the curtain. You know, the universal "please stop talking" signal. So is this Jonas going rogue, or was it something worse? Jonas being honest? Team Visma's culture of silence versus Jonas's sudden truth bomb. To understand why this was such a deal, we need to remember one thing. Team Visma doesn't talk, ever. If you ask them about tactics, you get a quote from performance manager Matthew Hejbauer like, "We monitor values and make decisions based on group coherence within specified KPIs." What does that mean? Nothing. It's a decoy sentence designed to make your brain short-circuit, while they're already 6 steps down the corridor. So when Jonas, the soft-spoken Danish metronome, casually declares that he's stronger than ever, and confirms that there's a plan to beat Pogačar, and that, quote, "we can't tell the media," it does raise eyebrows, especially when he keeps talking. Quote, "Having a rival that is as good as Tadej brings out the best in yourself, and you know that you have to train hard every day to compete with him. For me, it makes me better, a better cyclist, and I have a lot of admiration for Tadej. He's a very good, nice guy and bike rider. I have good words about him." That's a lot of compliments for a guy your team is trying to assassinate on the Galabra. It's not that Jonas said anything wrong, far from it. It's just that it isn't strategically void enough. Visma is famous for saying everything and nothing at once. Aren't all sports people and even celebrities? Don't even get me started on news reporters and politicians. They make Remco Evenepoel look like a loose cannon, and that guy accidentally reveals his FTP every time he orders coffee. Which brings us to the real issue. Jonas answered the question. In cycling, this is dangerous, especially before a tour, the tour, especially when the media are watching, which unfortunately is literally their job. The journalist's psychological tricks begin. Now, don't underestimate the cycling press. There are people who ask the same question in 6 subtly different ways just to see if a rider slips up and says something like, "Oh, I actually attacked on the Col de Tourmalet because Sepp told me in the radio that Pogačar's power was dropping," followed by a Visma press officer physically tackling the microphone like it's a live grenade. Cycling journalists, especially the veterans, have turned press conferences into psychological games. They use body language, tone shifts, even fake sympathy to dig into a rider's subconscious. "How are your legs, Jonas?" Might seem innocent, but if the journalist is leaning forward with their pen posed, it becomes a trap. It's all about the follow-up. And Yonas, bless his sincerity, walks right into it. One reporter asked if he thought he could win this year's Tour. Simple question. Yonas didn't default to the usual Visma safe. "We take it day by day." No, he said, with the casual confidence of a man who just finished his second espresso, quote, "I think I can say for sure I'm stronger than ever. I can say that I'm on the highest level I've ever been." Talk about playing your cards before the game's already started. Immediately, every journalist in the room activated journalist mode. Pens clicking, eyebrows raising, audio recorders pointed closer. And yes, as Jonas continued, those funny looks began. A team nutritionist began writing furious notes. Richard Plug, probably watching on a secure feed from a Visma bunker, may have initiated, quote, "Protocol Yellow," which, as Visma speak, means send Sepkus in to interrupt everyone with an emergency GCN interview. Has this happened before? Oh, you bet it has. Jonas wouldn't be the first cyclist to spill the beans and say too much in a moment of unscripted truth. This is a tradition as old as carbon fibre. Bradley Wiggins in 2012 for the Tour that year once told reporters he didn't care about the final mountain stage because the, quote, "race was done." Cue panic from Sky Management, who had spent 3 days pretending the GC was still open to keep fans watching. Chris Froome in 2016 accidentally let slip that the team car was giving him time checks, quote, "every 30 seconds, on a climb which violated race rules." Oops. Remco Evenepoel, the uncontrollable fountain of youth and truth, once revealed the exact power data from his altitude camp in Sierra Nevada, which is now basically pinned to the wall in the UAE Emirates team bus next to a picture of Tadej with devil horns drawn on it. Even the great Bernard Hinault once revealed his race day tactics to the press in 1986 and proceeded to do the exact opposite in the race, just to prove a point, because that's the kind of chaotic alpha energy Hinault thrived on. The point is, cyclists aren't PR-trained robots. They crack, they talk, and sometimes, when their coffee hits, they overshare. Jonas may just be the fastest and the latest in this long, glorious tradition of tactical oopsies during press conferences. So, does Visma actually have a plan, or was Jonas just blowing smoke? Let's return to the quote that sent 1,000 journalists sprinting to their laptops. Quote, "I obviously have my plan to beat Pogačar, like we always do, but we can't tell the media." The phrase, "like we always do," is important here, because let's be honest, they kinda do always have a plan. In 2022, it was the infamous Team Jumbo-Visma ambush on stage 11, where Wout van Aert and friends turned the Col de Granon into a scene from Game of Thrones. In 2023, they did it again with pure tempo, suffocating UAE across 3 weeks with nothing but watts, discipline, and Sepkus as the patron saint of damage control. So yes, it's not unreasonable to believe Visma has something in the works. The question is what? And Jonas, God bless him, almost wanted to tell us. You could see it in his face. He wanted to say, quote, "We're going to use Jorgensen to bait attacks, custom mark him, and then I launch on the Galabra with a tailwind at exactly 6.6 watts per kilo." But he caught himself just short. Still, damage done. Now the world knows, Jonas feels confident, Jonas has a plan, Jonas isn't afraid to admit that he respects Tadej, but also intends to beat him. That's the part that really breaks Visma protocol. Not the admiration, but the openness. Visma wants mystery. It wants whispers. It wants you to guess whether Jonas is peaking or pacing, whether its grimace on stage 17 means he's cracked or recalculating. Instead, we got clarity, honesty, a rare look behind the yellow curtain. And perhaps, just perhaps, this was the moment when Jonas Vingegaard decided to stop being the humble ghost of Visma and started being the main character. Final thoughts. Cycling thrives on uncertainty, on secret training camps, whispered tactics, and riders who dodge questions like they dodge potholes. But every now and then someone forgets the script, and when it's the reigning Tour de France champion, the consequences ripple across the peloton. Jonas Vingegaard might have just told us more than his team wanted, that he's fit, that he's focused, and that yes, he has a plan. Whether or not it works is another question entirely, but for now one thing is clear. Visma may have spent months preparing the perfect poker face, but Jonas just threw his cards on the table, and somewhere in Slovenia, Tadej Pogačar is smiling like he just read the entire playbook. Let the mind games begin. Oh, and for those of you who actually believe there are no plans, and the teams just go into the Tour de France thinking, well, just race it however it goes, you are foolish. There are plans and each team has a specific goal, even down to the very detail of each 10-kilometer segment of each stage. The teams don't just turn up and race the event like it's some kind of a sportive. It's not a charity bike ride, it's the Tour. Thanks for watching today's video. If you're new to my channel, please like the video and subscribe. By subscribing, you'll stay up to date with all of the latest cycling news, cycling drama, and cycling results. Also, feel free to comment down below your opinions in the comment section, as I'll be interested to hear what you guys think.